spiritual breathing this morning. As you breathe out, let go of anything that might be hindering you this morning. But I tell you that don't let go of the passion. Don't let go of the desire to follow God's word. Don't let go of the desire to stay apart from the things of this world. Because it's so easy to get caught up, and the law says we can do this and the law says we can do that. It's so easy to get caught up in that, to become a part of that, and make yourself think it's all right. So as we breathe this morning, I want you to let go of anything that might be hindering you this morning, but hold on to the passion that God's given you in these certain areas. Let go of that bitterness, any bitterness or strife, or anything that these issues might cause you. Hold on to the passion and the desire to make a difference, if that makes sense. And as you breathe back in, just ask God to fill you with that perfect Holy Spirit. Matthew chapter 15, verses 29 through 31. Jesus departed from there, skirted the Sea of Galilee, and went up to the mountain and sat down there. Then great multitudes come to him, having with them the lame, blind, mute, maimed, and many others. And they laid them down at Jesus' feet, and he healed them. So the multitude marveled when they saw the mute speaking, the maimed made whole, the lame walking, and the blind seeing. And they glorified the God of Israel. Father, once again I come to you, Lord, asking that I can decrease, you'll increase, Lord, that you'll hide me behind that cross. Father, again, I pray that your Spirit go out before me, preparing the hearts, preparing the minds of each and every person here. Father, I pray that you just bind Satan and loose your Spirit on this group of people whom you love. In Jesus' name, amen. A professor in a world-acclaimed medical school once posed this medical situation, an ethical problem, to his students. Here's the family history. The father has syphilis. The mother has TB. They've already had 4 children. The first is blind, the second had died, the third is deaf, the fourth has TB. Now the mother is pregnant again. The parents come to you for advice. They are willing to have an abortion if you decide they should. What do you say? The students gave various individual opinions, and then the professor asked them to break into small groups for consultation. All of the groups come back to report that they would recommend abortion. Congratulations, the professor said. You just took the life of Beethoven. Today is Sanctity Sunday. It's a day set aside once a year that we honor life in general. We honor the life of the unborn. We also, one of the things that people tend to forget, I tend to forget, we also honor all life because there has been a push, there has been things brought up, and it's a very real reality that could happen one day. Euthanization of the older people. I mean, that's something that has been mentioned. I mean, there's a devalue of human life that people would say, well, they've got to a point where they're no good to society. Let's put them out. Let's get rid of them. So we're honoring human life today. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the history of human life. And you're going to see the history of the sanctity of life. You're going to see the history is very political. And like it or not, this is a very political issue. The history of sanctity, the history of the sanctity of life. President Ronald Reagan issued a proclamation on January the 13th, 1984, designating Sunday, January the 22nd, 1984, as National Sanctity of Human Life Day. This was the 11th anniversary, the reason he chose this day. It was the 11th anniversary of the Roe versus Wade decision that ultimately paved the way for abortion to become a legal thing. Reagan issued he issued this proclamation annually after that, designating the closest Sunday to January the 22nd as the Sanctity of Life Sunday. Now his successor, George H.W. Bush, he continued that annual proclamation throughout his 4 years of presidency. Bill Clinton, Bush's successor, discontinued the practice throughout his 8 years in office. The younger George Bush, George W. Bush, resumed the proclamation throughout his 8 years in office. Barack Obama, Bush's successor, did not present the proclamation. Donald Trump, in his first year of presidency, made the proclamation declaring January the 22nd, 2018 as the Sanctity of Human Life Day. And this year, Trump also proclaimed January the 20th, today, as that day. As you can see, it's very political. We have some of the nation's most powerful men have made statements on this very issue. Some of them, by not making statements, have made very powerful statements. It's a very political thing. What we have observed here is the opinion of 6 men of great power on life itself, on the value of life. That's what we've observed throughout these opinions. So today, you know what? I don't care who's president. I don't care when they're president. Jesus Christ is still king. Amen? Amen. Jesus Christ is still on the throne. So it don't matter who the president is. I really don't care what their stance is on it. I want to know what God's stance is on something. So that's what I want to look at today. I want to look at what God thinks of life. Now, I'm not even going to get into the whole debate of where life begins, because I see it as a no-brainer. And I think when you argue that, you're just showing a lack of intelligence. I mean, that's just, maybe I'm simple, maybe people disagree with me, but I think the Bible is very clear that you're no accident in God's eyes. I believe life starts at conception. I believe God knew you before conception. God, you were no accident in God's eyes. He knew before you were created. He had a plan, He had a purpose for you, and He loves you no matter your circumstances. So today, instead of concentrating on the gruesomeness of abortion like a lot of people do and pointing out all the statistics about it, I want to take a look at just how much God really does cherish each and every individual. I want to take a look at how God cherishes life, what He thinks about life. So as we look at the text today, it's a pretty short text, only 3 verses there, but I think we'll see a great example of God's views on how precious your life is. Look at verse 29. Jesus departed from there, skirted the Sea of Galilee, and went up on the mountain and sat down there. Jesus is waiting. He's sitting there waiting. He's waiting for these multitudes to come. He's waiting for you to come to Him patiently, lovingly, unconditionally. Jesus is waiting. Jesus is Lord. Nobody can take that away from Him. Jesus is Lord. He's the creator of all. He's the sustainer of all. There is not an army powerful enough to take Him off His throne. You know that? There is not an army that could dethrone Him. Amen. There's not one powerful enough on this earth or in any other realm. There's no incident unexpected enough to derail God's plan. So these little things that might throw me and you off schedule, these little things that might derail our plans, they're no surprise to God. They don't derail His plans. They don't cause Him to have to shift to another, to go to plan B or whatever. His plan is plan A, and plan A is going to be the plan. Even when me and you don't see plan A. You can laugh at Him, you can mock Him, you can ignore Him, you can spit on Him, and He's still going to be the King of Kings. Amen? One day He's going to come back. He's going to establish His kingdom right here on this earth. Now, I think we've done a pretty good job establishing His dominion and power as Lord. Now I want to take a moment. Let's separate the physical from the spiritual. Is He on the throne of your heart? See, this is where we do take away from Him. This is where we can diminish His authority. We all want a Savior, but we don't want a Lord. You know what? Everybody wants a Savior. Everybody wants that fire insurance. Everybody wants Jesus on the cross. Nobody wants Jesus being Lord of their life. We struggle with that more. Revelation 3:20 says, Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and dine with him and he with me. He's not banging. He's not beating the door down. He's softly knocking, waiting for you to let him take up his rightful residence on the throne of your heart. So he's king of this universe. And he's the Alpha and the Omega. He's the beginning and the end. And nobody can take that away from him. But what he really wants is to be king of your life, Lord of your heart, king of your innermost being. And that's where we try to diminish his authority. That's where we put Jesus in a box, so to say. Look at verse 30. So Jesus is there. He's welcome. He's waiting. He's waiting for you. He's waiting for us to come. Look at verse 30, how it moves on. He says then, great multitudes came. So here's Jesus. He's sitting on the mountain. And great multitudes came to him, having with them the lame, the blind, the mute, the maimed, and many others. One of the big arguments for pro-choice is the condition of the baby. You know, is he or she going to be retarded? Or is he or she going to be handicapped? Is he or she going to be born with an incurable ailment? Is he or she going to have all his parts and pieces? And so on and so on. What if the kid is born with one of these previous conditions? Will God love him or her any less? Look at what comes to Jesus in this verse. The lame, the blind, the mute, the maimed. And he says many others. All the society's rejects, all the society's outcasts, they come to Jesus and Jesus welcomes them. He not only welcomes them, he heals them. Now maybe if Jesus would have said, if they'd have come to him and Jesus would have said, it'd have been best if you had never been born, I could buy into the whole pro-choice thing. But that's not what he did. He welcomed them. He welcomed these people that society might consider outcasts. He welcomed these people that society might consider a burden. He welcomed them. He valued their life as much as he does any other person. He welcomed them. Jesus has a plan for each and every one of us, regardless of our condition. You know, I've seen a whole lot worse than a handicapped child. I've seen a whole lot worse. I've seen adults whose heart were as hard as a rock. Heart is the hardest rock. That's a whole lot worse than seeing a child with some kind of handicap or something. I've seen people who proclaim compassion but lack compassion. As a matter of fact, I see it in the abortion argument, and just to be fair, I see it on both sides of the abortion argument. One side says, let us be compassionate to the mother and kill the innocent child. Where's the compassion in that? Where is the compassion in that? And the other side says, let's save the child's life only to ignore it and disregards its needs once it's born. Where's the compassion in that? You see the hypocrisy on both sides? The lack of compassion on both sides? The whole argument, it isn't even about compassion. You can just hang it out. It's not about compassion. It's about responsibility and accountability. The Allen Guttmacher Institute, which is a research arm of Planned Parenthood, states 1% of victims, talking about abortion, 1% of victims of incest or rape. 1% had fetal abnormalities. 4% had a doctor who said their health would worsen if they continued the pregnancy. 50% said they did not want to be a single parent or they had problems in current relationships. 66% stated they could not afford a child. 75% said the child would interfere with their lives. Disturbing, isn't it? We, each one of us, as individuals, are responsible for our actions. There's ways to prevent pregnancies, and they're readily available. My wife and I did not have children until we decided to have children. I have friends that do not want to have children, and there's no accidents happening because they've been responsible. And then Tennille pointed out something that's very true in Sunday school this morning. We have a responsibility as parents to teach our children. We need to teach our sons to be respectful. We need to teach our sons that women are not some kind of sex object to just be drooled over and chased after like you are a buck in heat or something. And you know, society has said that's acceptable for men, but it's not. We need to teach our young men to respect women. And we need to teach our young women to respect human life and to respect, to know the responsibility that comes with having a child. It's not one of these, well, you know, I got a week or two, I'm going to have to deal with it. You got 18 years and then the rest of their life past that. It's a lifelong thing. A child's a very serious commitment. It's not something to be taken lightly. We need to teach this to our children. We're responsible for it. We are responsible for our actions. Then the question comes, well, what about rape? What about rape? Well, herein lies accountability. Now, I don't want you to think I'm not being compassionate. I cannot imagine what a woman must face when she is put in this situation, when she is raped, and when she's put in this situation. I cannot even start to imagine. I mean, that's got to be one of the most emotional, mind-twisting things a woman could go through. I'm not even going to pretend to have an idea of what that must be like. I can almost see where abortion would be appealing to her. I mean, I'm just being real. I can almost see where it would. But God says He hates hands that shed innocent blood. And one day we have to stand before God, and no matter our emotions, no matter our feelings, no matter what the law of the land says is right or wrong, we will be judged by God's law. Fortunately, when that day comes, anyone is welcome, even the one who had an abortion through Jesus Christ. They're all welcome. God loves you and wants to welcome you so much that He sent an advocate for that very day of judgment. That through Jesus Christ, we would be found innocent. He would become our advocate. Look at verse 31. He says, so the multitude marveled when they saw the mute speaking, the lame made whole, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they glorified the God of Israel. We are all made for God's glory. All these misfits, all these outcasts, what society might label them, all these burdens, whatever society might want to call them, that were made for God's glory. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, how you were born, you were made for God's glory. How many of y'all have ever heard of Nick Boychuk? I know Michael has. We've talked about him. I think Michael showed some films before. He's an Australian evangelist. He was born with tetraamelia syndrome. It's a rare disorder that can be characterized by the absence of no arms and no legs. Nick Boychuk has no arms and no legs. And according to his biography, when he was first born, his mother refused to see him or hold him because she was so distraught over the whole thing. But eventually, she and her husband accepted Nick, and they accepted his condition as part of God's plan. Now, as you can imagine, Nick growing up, he struggled with loneliness and depression in his early years. Now, I can see where somebody in that situation might. He even attempted suicide at one point in his life when he was young. But according to Nick, the victory over his struggles can be credited to his faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. Today, Nick is a powerful evangelist. Go home at YouTube. He is a powerful evangelist who has shared the gospel with millions of people all over the world. And he's a great speaker, a powerful evangelist. This is a direct quote from Nick Boychuk. He says, if God can use a man without arms and legs to be His hands and feet, then He will certainly use any willing heart. How many of y'all heard of James Robison? American evangelist back was the product of rape. His mother was raped. I think she was around 40 years old when she had him. She placed an ad in the Houston newspaper for a Christian couple to take care of him. A man by the name of H.D. Hale, a local pastor, and his wife, they took James in. And Robinson became a born-again Christian at the age of 14 at one of Hale's services. He went on to be a great evangelist, a pastor, a political activist, and he had the opportunity to share the gospel with many people through all that. At one time, he was even thought that he might take up the mantle of Billy Graham. He kind of stepped away from the political part of it. Product was great, and God used him. Charles McCary can claim a varied career. In addition to being the author of The Tears of Autumn and The Last Supper, he served as assistant to the Secretary of Labor in the Eisenhower cabinet and has done 2 stints in the CIA. But he almost wasn't born. Says McCary, my mother became pregnant with me at the age of 39. She nearly died while giving birth to my only sibling. Her doctor, who believed the second pregnancy was a serious threat to her life, advised an abortion. The advice made sense, but my mother refused to accept it. Just before she died at age 97, I asked her why. She replied, I wanted to see who you were going to turn out to be. God doesn't make mistakes. We are all made for His glory, no matter the circumstances. A recent poll of couples in New England revealed that if they were able to know these things in advance, 1% of them would abort a child on the basis of sex. 6% would abort a child likely to get Alzheimer's disease, and an incredible 11% would abort a child predisposed to obesity. God doesn't make mistakes. We're the ones prone to mistakes. God knew that. God knew that me and you were prone to mistakes. He knew we would mess this thing up. He knew that we would fall short of His glory. We knew that we couldn't hold up. He knew that we couldn't hold up to His holy standard, so He sent a Savior. He sent Jesus. And if the world had Jesus, if everybody had Jesus, and everything was hunky-dory, there wouldn't be a Roe versus Wade. If everybody had Jesus, if the whole world knew Jesus, there wouldn't be murder of the innocents. If the whole world had Jesus, then every day would be sanctity of life day. But the world doesn't have Jesus. The whole world doesn't have Jesus. So it's our job to keep proclaiming Him until He comes. Jesus said in John 3:17, I didn't come into the world to condemn the world, but through me the world might be saved. So we've fouled this up in a lot of ways. We've got out there and we let the extremists have their peace and get out there and tell people how they're going to hell and how God hates them and all this. And that's a lie from the pit of hell.
Amen.
God so loved the world. He loves that abortion doctor. He loves that lady that's in this situation. He loves the man that abandoned the girl, that used her and abandoned her, or whatever the situation. He loves the one that raped the girl. He loves them all. And we need to let people know that Jesus loves them, no matter their circumstances. Jesus values your life. He values the unborn child's life. He values the elderly that's laying there that has no functions left. He loves them. God values life so much, He sent Jesus to ensure that you could have life and life more abundantly. Sunday every year because this is one of those things I just don't understand it. I don't understand the reasoning behind it. I don't understand why we would think it would be all right. It really bothers me that our society has got to this point that we would think that that would be okay. And it really bothers me that I have loved ones that think this is okay. I mean, it does. It stirs me up. I just don't get it. Then I remember they need Jesus. And my job is to love them, share Jesus with them. And I'm going to keep on pressing on. And I'm going to keep on proclaiming the Lord Jesus Christ till He comes. And I'm going to love that one. At that clinic. And I'm going to love that one. That brought these circumstances about. And I'm going to love them even when they're unlovable. That is the only attitude I can have to make it through this life sane. If not, it would drive me insane. Jesus loves you. This I know, for the Bible tells me so. Jesus loves us all. He loves the unborn. He values life. Life is precious. Sister Neil comes up for a play. She might pray too. I don't know. As she comes up to play. I invite you to come forward. I invite you. You need to be up here for any reason. Jesus values your life so much that He went to the cross for you. That He laid down His life for you. No greater love of man than this, than He laid down His life for His brother. Jesus Christ put His life where yours should have been. He paid a debt He didn't know. Grace, God's riches at Christ's expense. All the beauty, all the riches of heaven are yours because Christ paid the price. You need to be at this altar today. If you've never accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, He values your life. He thinks your life is precious. He wants to give you life and life more. I invite you to come forward. You need to be at these altars for